Welcome back to the vendor table, Lauren.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing?
You know, not bad.
Photographing stuff
Yeah.
and things and people.
And people, things.
Yeah.
Weddings, more importantly, right?
Weddings.
Weddings.
Got a few coming up.
Yeah.
Got a few coming up together.
We do.
That's
You
so
were with me on a
exciting.
few. I forgot when your first one with me is.
I think it's in June,
Is it? All right. It's
which
coming up
feels
quick.
like a long time away, though.
No, we're going to have to do like behind the scenes of the vendor table at a wedding.
I know.
We have some good BTS together. So.
We do have good BTS. Well, we also like really pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty on it.
Yeah, you're pretty on the BTS when you work with me.
Yeah.
So it's good.
But I always end up dancing a lot.
Yeah. I got some really good videos of Lauren dancing.
By the end
like
of
an
this
idiot.
year, there will be a Lauren dance compilation video,
Yeah,
I think.
She's danced with some of my brides and
I've danced with the brides, the grandpas.
the grandpas. That's right. I forgot you danced with the grandpas. That's
Hmm?
cool. No one you're afraid to just.
I
dance
can't be
with.
tamed.
You can't be tamed.
Nope.
No. So, all right. So we're talking today. It's a spicy topic. Is it worth it?
This is a spicy
It's
topic.
a spicy topic. Is it worth it to pay to be a preferred vendor? So we're talking Wedding Wire. We're talking The Knot. We're talking about like honestly, venues, Facebook groups, things like that. So as a vendor, is it worth it to pay to be a preferred vendor?
Rewind for a second, because I don't think a lot of people know that you have to pay to be a preferred vendor.
It's true.
So to be a preferred vendor at a venue or in a Facebook group or The Knot, any of those places, you have to pay to play, basically. And it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, and it doesn't always lead to more business. No. So this has been around since the dawn of wedding photography, being a preferred vendor, especially at venues. Venues, I think, kind of are the ones who started the pay to play, like where you'd have house vendors. And here on Long Island, there's a group that owns like a wide range of venues here.
There's a few groups.
There's a few. There's actually,
But
the
main one,
the main one is Lessings.
Lessings.
If you guys weren't aware who we're talking about, they own like 20 to I think 30 venues on the island. So
Tons.
So if you're a preferred vendor with Lessings, you could. I think there's ways you could pay to be a preferred vendor at every location, or you could just pay for that location, things like that. So there's a lot of options to pay to play. Who's the ones that pay to play the most?
Studios.
Studios always are preferred vendors because they do volume.
Yes.
And that's how they're not charging a lot of money, but they're outputting volume, but they're also not outputting the best product.
For reference, Mike, you do what, like 35 to 40?
Yes.
I will do probably 20, and studios will do upwards of like 150 to 400
Yeah.
a year. So definitely a lot more volume that we are even capable of doing.
Exactly. And, with that being said, you don't know if you're, booking a studio, you don't know who's going to show up on your day sometimes. Maybe if you book that photographer, maybe something happens and the studio will tell you like, hey, like we had to sub your photographer. So there's not that personal relationship that independents have. But with, being a preferred vendor at these venues, most of the time, especially the venues, it is usually the studios that are the preferred vendor.
Yes.
So, and they pay a good amount of money.
Pretty hefty. And they pay commission too, right? Like,
yes. So a lot of these and people don't realize this, like especially photographers that are like, yeah, I want to be a preferred vendor at that location.
Do you?
Do you?
Do you?
No.
No.
So you don't want to be, because here's the thing. And I've gotten offered to be a preferred vendor at a couple of locations. It's actually ones that I really like too. They take commission.
Yeah.
And when they take commission, it could be sometimes 5%, 10%, or even more than that. 10% of your sale. 10% of your sale.
That's so much money to give when you could just get it on your own.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
I understand that if you're a studio, you're trying to build a studio, maybe being a preferred vendor is a great asset because they're going to plug you.
Yes.
You're going to be on all their brochures. You're going to be in every magazine. You're going to be on their website. You're going to be everywhere. So it's a good thing to have if you're trying to build a studio. But as an independent photographer, it's not the best thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a studio that is doing that volume, they have the money to dump into it.
Exactly.
Or they don't. And that's why they're there. Like hoping to get extra business. But, you know, like I've even had conversations with brides and grooms that aren't aware that vendors pay to be preferred. So like they think in some way that the photographers or vendors that are recommended at these venues are somehow based on merit or skill. And that's why they're being recommended, but that's not always the case. In fact, there have been some that have done some shady shit who are recommended at certain places that we, you know, don't love.
Yeah.
You know?
Not
us in general, but not like us and me and Mike being a hater, but just in general, like it's known.
Yeah. Most of the preferred vendors at a venue are paying to be there, and they're they're giving up a commission to be there because they're looking for volume. So if you're an independent and you want to break into that area, like I wouldn't pay to play in that regard in a venue space unless it's a venue that you absolutely love. You want to shoot there all the time. There's I think it's Taylor Jackson, who's a photographer. He's got a podcast too. I was listening to the first episode of his podcast, and I think he said he shoots at only 6 venues.
Oh, wow.
And because he knows how the weddings are going to go, and he's going to shoot there, and that's where he wants to shoot. He used to shoot all over the country and everything, and now he's like, not to say burnt out, but he was saying that, you know, he likes these locations. He wants to shoot there. Everything's there on site, and that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So that makes a lot of sense in that regard, because maybe there's 6 venues that, like, I would love to shoot at. Like, there's 6 venues that I can name off the top of my head that I would be like, yeah, I'd shoot there all the damn time.
Right.
But if it's pay to play or if I have to give commission, I don't want to shoot there all the time. No way. So just giving a percentage to somebody that you did all the work in booking.
Right. I think that's what's like the killer part is that you're the one that's like, yeah, the venue may have recommended you, but if you're the one that's like communicating with the client over and over and over the course of sometimes 2 years, like depending on how far out you book them, like why should you have to give 10% of your sale to the venue? Exactly.
Like, and who's not to say, like, maybe you got them indirectly, maybe you got the client indirectly, right? Like they didn't visit the site, but or maybe they went to the site, but they didn't look at the preferred vendor list, and then, you know, they went to you, right, to book you, and, you know, you're a preferred vendor in that scope. So now it's like, oh yeah, we recommended you. So you're gonna argue with the venue, like if like you got it from them or things like that. So
that's dicey.
That it does get dicey in that regard. I don't personally recommend it to independent photographers because of the fact that, man, like you're gonna lose money off of it, and maybe you gain some leads, and maybe it's a cool venue that you want to work at all the time. Maybe something you try, but I don't think it's worth it in the long run, especially even if you're starting out. Like, one, if you're starting out, they're not gonna sign you up to be a preferred vendor. You got to be established, and number 2, you really have to play your cards right in those places. You know, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan now. Being a preferred vendor on places like, you know, big wedding websites, whether it's Wedding Wire, The Knot, like Fearless Photos, things like that, that they have like a network of photographers. Do you think that's worth it?
No. Nope, I don't.
Nope.
I'm sure that like Wedding Wire and The Knot have their value. I've just recently heard of like so many problems with Wedding Wire in particular.
Yeah. The fake lead problem.
Fake leads, the like constant like paying for all these money, but with getting these fake leads, which is just like, that's a big issue.
I've heard about that too.
You know, that to me, that's just shady. It's sketchy, and I don't want to get involved in it. The majority of my business personally comes from Instagram.
Yeah.
I can see that on like my Honeybook, like leads, my lead capture forms and everything. So that's kind of how I'm just like playing into it for now. And I get enough business to make me happy currently, just from like referrals and word of mouth.
Yeah.
I just don't see like a need for it. I do think it's nice to have a place like that to receive reviews and like have everything all in one place to compare with other photographers in your area. So I do see value in it from that sense, but I just don't think you need to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't think you need to pay for those websites either, especially Wedding Wire, The Knot. And like, believe me, I'm Wedding Wire rated 50 plus 60 reviews, whatever. I use those websites for reviews. I don't pay a dime for it.
Yeah, for reviews, I feel like reviews are like, that's the key to like getting business. Key. I just stuttered. It's the key.
They get you Wedding Wire. They get you though with like if you're a premium vendor with them or something like that, they list you like a number like in the top 10 or whatever in your region. So I guess like, you get seen more. Yeah. But
like I definitely don't have as much visibility as like you or other photographers in the area who have, whatever. But like, I think your SEO. Yeah. And like your presence and, encouraging your clients to leave reviews after their experience are probably going to be the thing that gets you the most engagement. Yeah. And leads.
That's what I think too. It's like your social media is going to get you the most leads. I think if you're especially established in the area, that's going to pull in the most business. I think also word of mouth, also, vendor recommendations, like, building that network. We talked about that on a previous episode, like building that network of other vendors in your area that could recommend you. Yeah. Those are what's going to get you the most leads. Whereas like these websites, like the Wedding Wire, The Knot, they're great for reviews because you could have like all your reviews compiled into one place and people could just reference that. That's what I have on my guides. Like people will be like, where can I read about you? Where can I read a review about you? And instead of like searching the internet, it's all there. It's all in one spot, which is really cool. I mean, you could also use Google for reviews if you wanted to. Like that's an easy way out. Like if your business is listed on Google, which it should be. Yes. You could just have clients review you there, drop you a review on there. But I like Wedding Wire and The Knot because it does, if you do compile a certain amount of reviews, they do give you an award, like the best of The Knot, Wedding Wire Couple's Choice. So it is kind of cool to use those sites for reviews, but I wouldn't use them as like, I wouldn't buy into their sales pitch. I won awards through, just give me an example, Best of Long Island. Yes. I won in 2016. And I was a rookie in the industry. I don't know how I won. I think I just had friends vote for me and shit like that. But I wasn't as established and I won. And they sold me on the marketing package that like after I won, it was like, oh, you could buy the digital logo and like a plaque and like get invited to our dinner and do all this stuff, all for $1,500. And you did it. And I did it. And I did it like a fucking moron.
It's okay.
Live and learn.
You'll make mistakes.
And learn. It was 8 years ago. It was a little different now, So yeah, lived and learned. I didn't get a single fucking lead from that. But being best of Long Island as a wedding photographer doesn't do anything. It's a title. It sounds cool. Like, yeah, I got a cool plaque that hangs in my office. Cool. I could say I was best of Long Island in 2016. Cool, right? It doesn't do anything. It didn't lead to any more business. So maybe it's a cool federation or something where maybe it has that. Like you have WPPI, all that stuff where, you could go into contests and you could do that stuff. Like, but you got to see what's good for pay to play. Right. What we just recommended are not good for pay to play, at least as an independent photographer from those perspectives. Nope. So the last one. God, I'm dreading talking about this, but I'm going to talk about it. Matt, don't laugh over there. I feel like you're going to laugh. Facebook groups, okay? They have become very big over the last few years. Huge source for brides and grooms to get information on vendors, tips and tricks, things like that, like brides helping brides, grooms help, whatever, right? They're a great resource for that stuff.
Huge, actually. Huge.
I've seen a lot of these groups, though, these Facebook groups turn into full-blown agencies, essentially, where they're turning into networks, where they're doing preferred vendors and events and things like that, where, I think a lot of them probably started with the good intention that, you know, we're going to help brides and we're going to do that stuff. And they do. I'm not saying they don't. But now they have preferred vendors. And the preferred vendors are pay to play.
Yes.
And you don't have to qualify to be, like, you just have to give them money. And a lot of these Facebook groups are doing that, where it's just, you don't have to be good. You could have 500 Facebook followers or, you know, 100 Facebook followers, and you just got started, but you're going to pay $1,500 to be on their preferred vendor list.
Yep.
They just want your money.
And that it's like frustrating for us and like a little disappointing, but at the same time, it's so wildly unnecessary.
100%.
So like, it does not make, to me, it doesn't make a difference if I dish out $1,500 to this organization or not, because all it takes is for one person to leave a review in that same group, like a good review, and I get the same amount of business.
Exactly.
So it really, truly does not make a difference at all.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to get to as well, is you don't have to be preferred in those type of groups to get the business from those groups. All you have to do is ask your clients to review you in those groups. And if they drop you a nice review, it's going to get seen by hundreds, if not thousands of people. And they'll be able to see your work, like a nice review written up about you, and you get an influx of.
And then you may also get
clients,
other past clients of yours piggybacking on that post, talking about how amazing you were as well. So
Love
it's
that
like,
point. Yep.
That's the best, because when you have like a whole thread of people who are just like singing your praises, that looks great. So like, I don't know, paying for it just never made sense to me if like the point of it is word of mouth, leaving a review, the whole point of the group is that, then that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Without paying for it.
Exactly. You don't need to be preferred to have a glowing review written about you in those groups.
Correct.
Or on those websites, and use it to your benefit. Right?
So what did we learn here? Stop paying for shit.
Stop paying for shit, you freaking idiots. No, I'm kidding. You're not idiots.
Stop spending money.
I spent money. I was a fucking idiot. So I'm going to call you guys idiots too. I was an idiot. I need to validate myself.
Do you know how much money I spent on fucking logos?
Did you? You didn't design your own logo?
I did not design my own logo.
Really?
Original, like,
I'm a logo freak, so I designed my own logo.
I did not design my own logo, but I did finally.
I could have designed you a logo.
I did finally meet the right person, though.
That's cool.
Who designed my logo based on my tattoos.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is that what it's based on?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like
she had me send her a picture of my hand tattoo, and she incorporated it into my logo.
All right, I like that. See, I'm a Long Island guy. I just put Long Island kind of behind my name. I was like,
but it looks great.
Thank you. It's old
bottom
too.
Line
it's
is
like 7, 8 years old.
We all spend money on stupid shit, but don't spend money on this stupid shit.
Yeah, I think being a preferred vendor, like in everything that we just talked about, you don't have to pay for any of that. Now, if you're in a smaller network, because I feel like we're generalizing. We're talking to Long Island photographers. Yeah. Do you think it's worth it if you're in a smaller network?
So I actually do want to touch on that, because I am a preferred vendor for a mom's group, a Long Island moms group, but it's exclusive. So the woman, the founding member of the group, has basically vetted each of the vendors. Okay. Like, she tests them out. She makes sure she gets basically shot for free. She tries the products for free, or whatever the services are. And essentially, like, she'll promote you based on if she likes the service. Mm-hmm. So, like, she's gone to, just as an example, like, hair salon. Mm-hmm. The only place that will ever touch her hair, basically. Or, like, another, and, like, if somebody tries to recommend another business, it's shut down.
Wow.
So it's exclusive.
Okay.
So for, like, motherhood.
That's a big deal, yeah.
That, I feel like, has a reach. Like,
yeah.
And that's not saying that you're not welcome to use other vendors. That's just the only ones that she'll recommend. But
you earn the right to be there as a vendor.
Right.
So
it means something.
It does mean so. That's a cool part, is if you're a member of an elite group that you're recommended in, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think that's worth it if, like, you're going to pay to play. If you got to prove to be in an elite group and there's reason to be there,
Yeah.
and not everybody's and their mother is getting approved to be in that group, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Because that's a cool pay to play option because you're selected. Mm-hmm. It's a selection.
And even then in the smaller the smaller businesses that maybe aren't turning as much of a profit, like they're not necessarily charging X amount of percent in commission,
Sure.
but just free services.
Yeah.
So like an exchange.
That's cool.
So it's not like really hurting any of the businesses to do that. So honestly, I find that a little bit more preferable. Like if that arrangement was to be made, I like this arrangement for me, and it's all just motherhood. So it has nothing to do with weddings.
But that's cool though.
But you know,
it's it's a selective group, and I think selective groups you got to have that sometimes because hey, if I'm recommended in this group that people either pay to be in or they use as a service and everything like that, but I'm selected by whoever it is, a committee, the owner, whoever, you're an elite company and that you're getting reference for a good reason.
right.
Whereas like if it's a group that's, taking anybody and their mother, different story.
I mean, in other places, it's just literally like, all right, do you have the money? We don't need to see the work.
Exactly.
It's like, or need to know about your experience or your process or anything like that. And that can like get them in trouble.
Yeah. Because you recommend, if you're that organization and you recommended this person because they're a preferred vendor, you're
on the hook.
On the hook because you recommended them. They're paying you to, use them as a resource. It's just,
it's too dicey.
It's very dicey. So if you're a photographer, or you're a vendor looking to, become preferred, those elite level groups, like if they're a little bit more selective or you're selected to be in those, nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great way to kind of get into those levels. But if it's just, anybody and it can pay to get in there, it's not as selective. And I don't think it's going to do much for your business in the long run.
No.
It might, but I think you could use those places as resources more as review resources.
Yeah, taking them for what they
anything.
are. And honestly, like we've had this conversation so many times about how these Facebook groups are so beneficial to us as business owners because they really do. Like they give the brides privacy to give honest reviews, but they also are a huge platform and resource for brides who are looking to book us as photographers. And when they see these reviews, it leads them directly to us. I mean, I've gotten so many inquiries from these groups that they really are useful, but I think that certain aspects need to be changed.
Yeah, I agree. Because part of the reason I went full time was because of a beautiful review left in a brides group. And I got 100+ leads from that one review.
There you go.
And that was a big deal. I booked 30 weddings from that one review. I could even track it to that one review. That was a big deal. So I'm not saying these places aren't beneficial to you. I just don't think you need to pay to play to be in them.
No.
That's all.
Yeah, I agree.
You're going to be nice about it.
Yeah.
That was very nice. We were nice.
I don't know why we were dreading it.
Why were we dreading it? I don't know.
We're fine.
We're just very nice people.
Everything's fine.
Lauren's sweating.
We're okay.
Well, this was a cool topic just to kind of briefly touch on because we have gotten this question as, on our at the vendor table on Instagram, by the way. We have gotten this question where, should we become a preferred vendor? So I think that was kind of cool to touch on and be like, not really.
It's not really necessary.
It's not really
It's just
necessary.
not. I also think I find it curious that a lot of brides and grooms don't know that you paid to be preferred. So they're just like, oh, the venue recommended this person to us. And it's like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually
Sure
the preferred vendors aren't the best vendors at the venues, by the way. I'm not going to talk shit, but
He's not talking shit.
I'm not talking shit.
He's just talking fart.
That was the worst joke you've ever made to me. I'm just going to call you out on that one. That was the worst fucking joke. That was a dad joke. That was a really dad joke.
Not as bad as the shit.
Wow.
Still smells.
We're going to end it on that one. Lauren, where can they find you?
You can find me at Lauren O'Brien Photo on Instagram and LaurenO'BrienPhoto.com. Where can we find you, Michael?
I'm Michael Casara Photo on Instagram, on TikTok, as well as my website. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this one. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.